Hey guys, so this is part 2 of the story about why I don't talk to my sister anymore. And I'm breaking out, but I'm still beautiful because we gotta work on self-love, okay? So, yeah. Today I'm just gonna get a little bit ready, like in the video, because I have to go to work and I'm gonna put on my lotion and my sunscreen so I don't die, because I work with kids and we're gonna be like out in the sun and it's gonna be boiling. But if you haven't seen part 1 of my video, I suggest you go watch it because this video will make no sense to you at all. Sorry, I'm looking for my sunscreen. But yeah, I suggest you go watch that if you haven't seen it. Okay, I found my sunscreen. And I'm pretty sure this is like what's making me break out, but like I don't want to get burnt by the sun, so yeah, I'm still gonna wear it. I'm probably gonna try to find like a different sunscreen because every time I wear this, like I just break out. It's bad. But yeah, so here's a video. If you guys, okay, I'm gonna do little trigger warnings. If you guys do not like violence, if you guys do not like abuse, if you don't like yelling, I suggest you go away now because I don't want to give anyone PTSD or anything. So here's your warning to go away now. And sorry you can't watch this video, but I hope you can catch me in another video. Okay, so this is part 2 about how I don't talk to my sister anymore. So essentially, if you guys saw part 1, we got into an argument because she thought I was lying, right? Because my other sister had left a voicemail and she said that I was gonna myself, right? Which I would never do because like I don't play with that stuff, and it's just really crazy that my family thinks so low of me. But yeah, so that happened. I run to my room. Man, I got sunscreen in my hair. So I run to my room. I lock the door. My boyfriend is in the room with me. I slammed the door because like I was in a hurry and she was coming at me and I got scared because I thought she was gonna fucking hit me. She didn't put a hand on me, and I told this story to my therapist, and my therapist told me that like at that moment where she started breaking down my door, I could have called the cops on her, but I didn't. So yeah, so essentially I go to my room and she's just cussing at me. So she's like, you're fucking, you know what? She's calling me a female dog, cussing at me, saying I'm fucking special needs. And I'm like, no, I'm not. And I'm gonna be honest with myself. She was calling me the B word and all these like names, and I called her the B word too because like I was just sick and tired of like her cussing at me and thinking it was okay. So I was like, okay, if you're gonna cuss at me, I'm gonna cuss at you. But keep in mind, I was getting really triggered and we had both gone through a lot of abuse, and so I'm not a healed person. I'm not healed yet. I still have a lot to work on. I'm not gonna say like I'm perfect by any means because I'm definitely not. But yeah, so she started cussing at me, so I started cussing at her, which granted, like I shouldn't have done, like I should have been the bigger person. But the crazy thing about this moment was when she was cussing at me, I had like this weird epiphany. So if you guys don't know, I started going to therapy at the age of 23 to 24. I'm 25 now and I'm still in therapy because of the PTSD and shit I've gone through with my family. And so, whatchamacallit, she was cussing at me, calling me all these names, and usually my younger broken self would say, I am that. I am a female dog. I am worthless. I am not worthy of love. I am, you know, special or whatever. And instead of allowing her opinions to affect me, I started in my head, I was like, I'm not that. I'm beautiful. I'm amazing. I'm strong, right? I'm confident, I'm smart, I'm not what she says I am. So essentially she was yelling at me. She was like saying, after I've done so much shit for you and your little bitch ass sister, right? So essentially, if you guys don't know, my father was a gambler, okay? So he still is. He actually owns a poker business now in Oregon, and he's really well off now. Before he was struggling. Before we were living in a loft, couldn't pay rent. We were really broke, and now he's balling, like, with BMWs and like a houseboat and everything. But essentially, when my sister, like a long time ago, my older sister, the one who kicked me out and cussed at me and called me all these names, right? A long time ago, she was living in North Carolina with her ex at the time, and she realized that she needed to go help me out and my little sister, right? Which, keep in mind, she was like an adult at this time. She made that active decision on her own, and if she didn't want to like help us, she had that opportunity. But instead, she stepped up to the plate, and she was like, I'm gonna help my siblings out because my dad has a gambling issue and he can't take care of 2 teenagers. Because whatchamacallit, at the time I was like 17, 18, 19, around that age. My sister was 16, 15, and my dad was nonstop gambling, and we had no support system. Like, we had no money, nothing, right? And we were living with this guy, and luckily he was very gracious, and he allowed my father took advantage of him, right? Because like, he didn't really pay rent because he was struggling, and he was just gambling all his money, like, all the time. And so my dad didn't have money, so my sister came from North Carolina to California to help support me and my younger sister. Keep in mind, though, we were minors in college. I mean, in high school, sorry. So we're minors in high school, and she comes from North Carolina, starts taking care of us. She gets a job at the casino, starts helping my dad pay rent. And like, she had said when she was screaming at me, she was like, after everything I did for you and your bitch ass little sister, right? And I'm thankful that you did that, but for you to throw it in my face, a lot of my siblings do that. They'll do something nice just to use it against you later on, and that's like manipulation, and it's really toxic. And granted, she probably only said it because in the heat of the moment she was really pissed off at me because she wanted me to bow down to her and just say she wanted me to have no boundaries. She wanted me to be like, yes, you're right, I'm in the wrong for asking your ex-boyfriend's brother to wash the fucking dishes. I'm in the wrong for wanting him to respect your house. That's what she wanted from me, but I didn't give her that, so instead she flipped the fuck out. But yeah, so all that had happened, and she was cussing at me. She told me, get the fuck out of the house. She said, I want all your shit out by tomorrow, and if you're not out, I'm calling the cops, right? Which is like funny because like, I yelled at her. I was like, I paid $550 this month. I have a right to stay here, right? And then it was even more funny because the ex-boyfriend's brother was in the room next door, and she was screaming at me at the top of her lungs. She broke down my door. I have video of it. I have the whole thing on video, okay? My boyfriend was in the room, and he was like, what happened? What happened? My boyfriend was like dead quiet, and she told my boyfriend, she was like, get the fuck out of my house, right? And so I told him, I was like, literally all I said to her, on God, I know Pisces play the victim all the fucking time, but in this situation, on God, I was the fucking victim, okay? And so I can admit if I'm wrong, okay? But on God, all I said to her was, I have a voicemail of my sister saying that I was gonna myself. And because I said that, she flipped the fuck out. And it's also because I feel like I wasn't allowing her to just walk all over me, and I was having boundaries for myself. I think that's what pissed her the fuck off. Because like I said before, she's a narcissist, and she doesn't like when other people have other opinions or boundaries, or they have self-respect for themselves, right? And so she broke down my door, she cussed me out, told me to get all my shit out of the fucking house. So that night, once she had finally left and she had like broke down my door, I left out a part. So you know how the ex-boyfriend's brother was there? Sorry, I know I'm like all over the place. So the ex-boyfriend's brother was there. She yelled out loud. She was like, I've never acted like this. I've never acted like this in my fucking life. And I have the whole thing on video. And honest to God, I feel like she only did that because she knew that she was acting batshit crazy, and she knew that she had fucked up because the ex-boyfriend's brother was there. And she was like, oh, now I look bad. Now I look bad to him, and he's gonna tell my ex that I'm crazy, right? And so that's why she had said that. But yeah, essentially she broke down my door, threw the fact in my face that she had come from North Carolina to help out me and my younger sister, but it's like, if you wanted to do that out of your kindness of your heart, you shouldn't have thrown it back at me. And so she left that night, and I stayed up till 2 a.m. with my boyfriend in the room, packing up my shit, crying. And I was like, I don't know where I'm gonna go, right? And so during this time, my sister went to the UK for 2 weeks. She was gone for 2 weeks after we had the huge fucking fight. The ex-boyfriend's brother too, he was gone for like a month. He was not there. I don't know where the fuck he went, but he was just gone because I guess he didn't want to be like in that environment anymore. And so we weren't talking. I managed to get all my shit. I got a storage unit. I put my shit in my car. I was like, okay, I'm gonna live in my car because I had literally nowhere else to go. I didn't have any money, and I was like, fuck it, I'm 24, I gotta figure this out, right? And so I put all my shit in my car, I packed up everything, and I was still at the house for the remainder of that month. And so it was really weird because after I had I had gone through all that shit and she broke down my door and she left for 2 weeks, she came back and acted like everything was normal, and she started buying me food. And I was like, please stop buying me food, because like that's her way of trying to say like, I'm sorry, I know I fucked up. But I didn't want that. I wanted her to take accountability. I wanted her to say sorry and say, hey, I fucked up. Like, and as my abuser, that's what she was to me. She couldn't take accountability. She couldn't say sorry to my face. And so, sorry, I'm trying to see what time it is. Okay, I still have time. And so, whatchamacallit, it made me mad because she couldn't take accountability, and instead of facing her problems, she ran away to the UK for 2 weeks with her friends. Keep in mind, we live in California, and so all that shit had happened, right? And once she got back, we were still not really on talking terms, but it was weird to me because she was like, oh, are you still gonna stay here? And I had talked to my therapist at the time, and I told my therapist everything that had happened, and she was like, you know, you could have called the cops on her. I was like, I know. And she was like, were you afraid that if she broke down her door, she was gonna hit you? I was like, I don't know, if I'm being honest, but I felt more comfortable knowing that my boyfriend was there, because like, granted, my boyfriend, he's an angel, like he'd never hurt anyone, but he's a big guy, so like I had backup in case anything were to happen. Like if she did come into my room and start throwing hands at me, I know that he could easily separate us because he's like a carpenter and he's like really fucking buff. But yeah, so luckily nothing happened. Luckily she only broke down my door. But yeah, so I told my therapist that I felt bad. I felt bad that I was gonna leave her out $500 that month because I wasn't gonna pay my rent because I was leaving and I was gonna live in my car. And my therapist had told me, she was like, don't feel bad. She wanted you out. She should have thought about her actions before she said that, right? Because she was like, I want you out of the fucking street. I want all your shit gone, right? And she was like, do not feel bad. That's on her. That's on her to figure out. She kicked you out. That's on her to pocket up the $500. That's not on you, right? And so when I had left, before I had left, she came back. After 2 weeks of her being gone, she came back. She acted like everything was normal. And I remember I had asked her one day, because like for 2 days in a row, she had her friends over at 3 a.m. and they were being loud as fuck, making hella noise. 3 a.m, they woke me up twice. And on the second day, I was like, hey, can you guys please be quiet? I keep getting woken up at 3 a.m. And she deflected the situation, and she was just like, I can never have fucking people over at my fucking house, right? And then she, sorry, I'm like all over the place. She yelled at me and she was like, get the fuck out if you're just gonna keep dealing with it. But it was so weird because like she would go back and forth. Like she'd be like, you're still gonna be here, right? And then she'd say, oh, your boyfriend can stay here, like to get me to stay in her toxic ass environment. I think she started feeling bad. But at that moment I was like, no, I would rather be homeless than deal with you, you know? And so by the end of the month, I had gotten all my shit in storage, and she was like, are you staying? And I was like, no, I'm leaving. You told me to get the fuck out of your house. I'm leaving. Why do you keep playing games with me? And so I slept in my car for like a week. That was the most depressed I had been in my life because it was really sad. And I told my brother, I was like, this is what happened. And you know, my brother wants to be like on everyone's side and he doesn't want to pick a side, but honest to God, like she made me homeless. And I know I'm 24, but it's like I've never really been on my own before, and it's hard because like I've never had parents for me, and like I know those are excuses, but I'm very codependent, and it's hard for me to like find a place to live. And so I slept in my car for a week in like freezing degrees. Like I slept in here for like a week, and it was 33 degrees at night, and I remember waking up multiple times at night freezing to death. I remember waking up at 6 in the morning having an anxiety attack, thinking that someone was gonna knock on my car and be like, hey, you can't park here, you know. And so after all that had happened, it made me a stronger person, and it also made me realize that like my sister is not my family. Like I can love her from afar, but I will never forgive her unless she takes the time to apologize to me for what she did, which I know she's never gonna do because she's a narcissist and she can never admit that she's fucking wrong. But I've accepted that. I've accepted that she's never gonna be the sister that I need in my life. And she's even told me, she's like, if we weren't siblings, I wouldn't have you in my life. Like that's literally what she's told me, which is really funny and ironic because my brother had come into town one day and I had to take him to the airport, and I walked into the room, like my old room that had taken all my shit out. It was like completely empty, gutted out, and she had a photo from my Facebook that she had printed out, and it was me and my younger sister, and we were at prom. And I cried that day because I'm like, you say you love me, you say you care about me, and then you do really horrible things to me. Granted, all of my family and my siblings have been really abused, but like it just made me really sad. I was like, oh, she does care, but it hurts being around you, so I'm gonna distance myself. So long story short, I was living in my car, I was showering at Planet Fitness. Like I was so fucking depressed. I was the lowest I had been in a long time, but from that low I was able to get happier and stronger, and now I'm living at my boyfriend's house. I pay $300 in rent instead of $550 in rent. I'm doing a lot better. Am I sad? Yeah, I'm pretty sad. I think about my family all the time, and I think about how I've had to literally cut them out of my life, like all my siblings, just because of how toxic they are. And I'm not saying like I'm perfect, because like I've yelled at them before. I've had arguments with them. Like I'm not perfect at all, like, you know, but I've come to accept that my older sister and I, like, we probably will never fix our relationship, and that's fine. I don't want her in my life because I've seen the type of person she is. She always chooses her friends over family, and I accept it, but I'm not going to be going out of my way to continuously put myself in situations where someone's going to keep abusing me, treating me like shit, walking all over me, and getting mad at me when I set a boundary with them, in a nice way. So the night I had told her that I wanted her to be quiet, I was like, can you please be quiet? She cussed me out after I said please and thank you. And it's like, I don't deserve that shit. Like, I don't deserve you being a bitch to me for no fucking reason at all. Like, I'm just so sick and tired of my siblings treating me like shit. All my siblings. And if I have to set a boundary and be the bad guy, so be it. Sorry, there's a guy walking over there, and I didn't want him hearing me talk. But yeah, that is the story about how I got kicked out and how I became homeless for a little bit. I'm not homeless anymore. I have a place now. I have a shower. I have food in my belly. I'm well now. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed my video. Sorry, he's like backing up his car. I'm gonna put the AC on because I'm fucking boiling. Sorry, it's my car starting up. But yeah, so thank you guys so much for watching my story. Sorry if it triggered you. But on God, I have the whole thing on video. I'm not lying about this. Like, I have nothing to lie about. I've gone through a lot of shit in my life, but I'm just happy. I'm happy this happened, even though that sounds fucked up. I'm happy it happened because it taught me self-love. It taught me how to have stronger boundaries with people and how to not let people walk all over me. And like, it was just weird to me because she kept treating me like shit and expecting me to like bend over backwards for her and just say, oh yes, I'm always in the wrong. But no, people pleaser Brianna is dead. I will never people please again. I will never apologize again for being myself. I will never apologize for setting boundaries. I'm sick and tired of it. And if I'm gonna be seen as evil for having boundaries, so be it. So fucking be it. If I'm gonna be seen as evil for loving myself, so be it. I don't give a fuck anymore. But the moral of the story is, love yourself. Love toxic people from afar. You can love them still. I can love my family, even though they've hurt me and shit. I can love them from afar. But protect your space. Keep people in your space who love and appreciate you and respect you. And do not take shit from anyone. Love yourself. Set boundaries for yourself. Do not let people bully you. Do not let people treat you like shit. If someone makes you mad, walk away. Be the bigger person. And granted, like, I know I need to still work on that, because, like, I did cuss her out too. Like, I'm not perfect. But yeah, that's just the story, and I hope you guys liked it. I hope it inspired you a little bit, because, like, life is fucking hard, especially when you don't have parents like me. But yeah, just keep smiling, keep being happy, because life is worth living. I love you guys. Have a good day. Goodbye.